Welcome in to another edition of the Grown Man's Podcast. My name is Tom, and the man interrupting me across the table from me is the man, the myth, the legend, the poorly mannered Hattie. How are you doing today, Hattie?
Poorly mannered? Where do you get this crap from?
Interrupting the host of the show today.
You did it to me last week, so I had to make sure I had to put her in there and interrupt you just a little bit.
I was expecting you to start the show over. I was just trying to throw you off your game last week when I did it to you. But you kept it in there, Hattie. For that, I respect you.
Yeah.
But we're not alone today. Today with us is our buddy for the first time for the regular part of the show. He's been on the whiskey tasting before.
Yep, sour beer drinking tonight.
We'll get into that maybe. Is our buddy James from down the hall. How you doing today, James?
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm doing all right. How are you guys doing today?
Doing great. I would be doing a lot better if you guys didn't try to force me to drink those disgusting sour beers that you're drinking.
I mean, these sour beers...
It's a craft beer.
Yeah, they're in right now. They're the super in beer, and I love them. I loved them before they were cool years ago.
They're
so
disgusting.
did James.
No, it's true. It's something that really evolved from a beer that... The process of distilling beer, when it went wrong, it turned into a sour beer, and it was something that really wasn't desirable, but then certain people liked. But now it's exploding in the process of craft beers and microbreweries because of how they're actually starting to do sour beers. They're starting to implement fruits and flavors and berries and everything to actually improve the taste and not just make a bad batch of beer, but rather do something that's unique and flavorful.
So what you're saying is they were an accident in that they had turned bad.
They were sort of like Silly
like
Putty. They were kind of an accident.
Silly Putty wasn't an accident. It was repurposed.
Well, I mean, the designer of Silly Putty made out to make a glue and made Silly Putty.
Well, he made out to make a wallpaper cleaner.
That is also the same thing with 3M sticky notes as well. It was an accident, and it's one of the world's most used office supplies.
A lot of accidents turn out to be great inventions.
Like me.
That's true. Did
like
you know
me,
that 3M actually started out originally as a sandpaper company, and they bought a quarry to get the grit to make sandpaper, but they didn't realize it was the wrong stone, and so everything that they had built up and worked on was completely useless, and they were like, what are we going to use this stuff for? So the whole story of 3M starting out is a pretty funny. It's actually a huge failure to begin with, but obviously now they're one of the biggest companies in the world.
That's the way a lot of companies start out. They start out with something stupid.
Yep.
And then it completely changes over the course of them being successful because something happens or a mistake or, we did this thing, and then it just explodes. And it is so common in today's world.
Yeah. So, hey, maybe this podcast starts off as a whiskey and football podcast, but it turns out to be a how businesses began podcast. Who knows?
Or sour beers and how great they are podcast.
Then you guys are going to have to do that one on your own because I ain't sticking around for it.
Business building and, beer 101 and business 101 type of podcast.
Okay. No good. I tried. They tried to force me. I told them I didn't like the sour beers. They said, just try it. So I tried the one that James is drinking.
I made you drink one.
Why don't you tell people what you're drinking there, James? What is that one? You crushed the can like the Hulk in your hand there, but...
That is a good question. I don't actually see a... All right, so it is the Jam Up the Mash Dry Hopped Sour, which is by... I'm trying to find the...
I don't see a maker.
I'm trying to find the maker on here.
Well, it's a red can. So anyway, that's what you're drinking. That one's kind of citrusy.
Collective Arts Brewery in Wanaki. Oh, Wanaki, Washington.
Look at that.
I tried to get him to try another one, the Springdale.
It was so foul.
Which I like this one better than the Collective Arts one.
It is real good.
It's a lavender and lemon tart ale, and I love it. It's so good.
Oh my god! The first one that I tried was the one James is drinking. It's kind of it smells like a really citrusy IPA, but then it's kind of like it's mixed with grapefruit juice as far as how sour it is. So at first the flavor is all right, but then it kind of gets into this really nasty sour range. But then Hattie had me try what he was drinking, and let me tell you, that one smelled like prison wine. It was the most foul and disgusting thing that I think I've ever tried. I didn't even drink it. I couldn't drink it. It was so disgusting smelling.
So
I think it's way better. It's more sour than the one that the Collective Arts Brewing one.
Yeah, no, it is way more sour.
This one's way more sour, and I love it.
Yeah, the thing is with beers is that the most people that I talk to are really big into IPAs, which is one of the most common ingredients that's used in brewing, which is hops, and that's kind of like the primary flavor of IPAs and double IPAs, and that's what they really like. Me personally, I'm not into that flavor a ton. I discovered sours. I'm not even sure how long ago. It was one of the breweries that I was at, but it is one of those things that I really do enjoy. And Hattie and myself do enjoy them. We actually do this thing where we buy different cases of, well, not cases, but rather different flavors and everything of sour beers, and then try them to try and find what actually is good. There's so many different distinct flavors and everything you can use. But again, if you do like IPAs as well and you want to try and get into sours, there are many breweries. We're in upstate New York, so there's a lot of microbreweries around here. So there's a lot of local breweries that are trying to do different styles of beers. So there is certain IPA sours as well that you can try if you want to try and get into them, where you do have a nice hoppy flavor and then the sour aftertaste. I do suggest those. Me personally, I don't mind them too much, but sometimes they can be pretty strong in the hop. And it's not really my type of thing at all.
No, it's not your cup of tea?
It is not my cup of tea, and it's not Hattie's either. So we try and avoid those, but we do
end up running into them.
I love the sours. We went to Rochester, New York last week.
Yeah, last week.
We went to a few breweries, and like every brewery has a sour beer now.
Did you go to Genesee?
No, we didn't
make it to Genesee.
That's good.
We went to four, I think.
Yeah. All microbreweries?
Yeah.
Yep.
And they were all real good. One was just a purely a cider place.
Yeah.
So the ciders were good. I like ciders a lot, but every brewery has a sour now, and it's real tasty. I love it.
Okay.
Love it so much.
You know what? I'm not going to yuck your yum. To each their own. If you guys like them, that's fine. I mean, somebody's got to drink the stuff that they left in the barrel too long or whatever, right?
Yeah, something like this. I mean, the one brewery that we did go to, I don't even know if you'd call it a brewery, though. It's more of a cider mill because all they served was hard ciders. And they had so many different flavors, but
22 ciders.
Yeah, 22.
That's
and
a lot of ciders. I couldn't hazard a guess as to how you could even have 22 different variances of a cider.
Well, I had 5.
It's apple.
Well, I had 5 of them.
Yeah.
They're all significantly different.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that it's like you look into it and it's like, oh, when you think of cider, you think of the main brands, like Angry Orchard and stuff like that. But there's actually different styles of ciders. It's very similar to the complexity of wine. Whereas there's dry, medium, and sweet wines, there's also dry, medium, and sweet ciders. So I am not really huge into sweet, but I am interested in flavor, different complexities. So there was like 4 or 5 that the guy working at the brewery, the bar, suggested that were on the dry side, where you get a lot of the flavor, but not a lot of sweet. And Hattie and I tried, I think you tried 4 of the 5 that I had. I tried some other one when you chose something different. And they were all very good because you got to try like the real fruit flavors of the apples and everything like that, where it's not super sweet, but you get a lot of the complexities and flavors. And especially one of them was based off of a whiskey cask. He started off with saying, "Do you like whiskey?" And I just kind of stared at him, and it's like, well, yeah. But, it's one of those things where not everyone is into that type of thing. So we tried that, and that was very good. It was a very dry, apple-y flavor. I mean, not really a ton of complexity, but it was aged in a whiskey cask. And it's one of those things where it was cool to try.
Cool. That one was actually a nitro.
Oh, yeah, it was a nitro. I forgot about that. But it was very good. All of them were very good. It was definitely interesting to try all the different unique ciders that you can have.
Yeah.
Hattie's over here trying to be a sneaky boy, cracking a new beer and tossing the can into the sink. And I got to say, Hattie, I got to give you some points here. Because your toss from this room to the next room to land that into the sink, that's a difficult... I mean, it's a metal sink and a metal can. And the amount of sound that was made by that toss was so minimal. I mean, do you have a sink full of loofahs or something?
I tried to bounce it up and land it on the clean dishes, and I successfully did it on the rubber pot handle that I got over.
That's very, very impressive.
It's one of those things, right? When I was talking, I didn't even realize it until Tom over here mentioned something. Because I was like, I heard something in the background. Didn't realize he threw a can halfway across the room, and it made little to no noise. So I'm gonna have to give props to Hattie over here for throwing that empty can 10 feet away and not giving any sound.
Hattie deserves nor needs any props. Just his ego's high enough already.
I love a little props over here. You know.
No.
I didn't even realize it was going on until I quit talking and Tom said something.
If you're gonna get props for anything, Hattie, it's that shirt you're wearing. It's a Don't Skip Leg Day shirt, and it's a flamingo on it. So.
Oh yeah.
And
I love Nike.
You clearly are skipping leg day, Hattie.
Oh man, I never skip leg day.
What?
I actually work on my legs more than anything else.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you really work out? I don't think I've ever.
I get on the indoor bike every day.
Oh. What do you got?
Do,
Peloton, Hattie?
I don't have a Peloton.
Oh, okay, so you're not that hoity-toity.
Well, Peloton is like $2,000.
Yeah, well that's why I said hoity-toity.
I got the Schwinn.
Yeah.
Whatever number I got.
Schwinn.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
I recommend it highly.
Okay.
I do 10 miles every day.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, but
But-
I do 10 miles every day.
Not a sponsor, but they could be.
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. If you order now,
Save it
you
for the
can
sponsorship.
double. All
Save it
right.
for the sponsorship.
So, talking about all this awesomeness.
Yes.
Awesomeness.
Awesomeness being the disgusting beers.
I mean,
that's
awesome
pretty good beer.
beers,
Or-
awesome throws of silence.
Uh-huh.
But who else is awesome?
I don't know. Who is?
That was your segue to
like,
Patreon and stuff.
Oh, gotcha. Well, that makes sense, Eddie.
Right over his real bougie hat over here, the pagoda hat.
Yeah, the piercing pagoda hat.
Piercing pagoda hat.
Oh, Lord, Hattie. You gotta stop saying that because I can't keep explaining it every time that it's not a piercing pagoda hat. Anyway, so yes, we want to thank our Patreon supporters very much because they are the lifeblood of this podcast. Y'all are amazing. We really want to thank Darlene, Gus, Barry, and West. You guys are amazing. If you guys that are not currently listed in that segment there want to become a grown man, you can do so over at patreon.com/grownmanspodcast. And we'll mention your name every podcast. And thank you guys also. $1 a month goes a long way to help the show. We also want to encourage you guys to go over to Twitter and follow us there at grownmanspod. We have regular polls over there. There's cops driving by while we're podcasting right now. All kinds of good stuff. Maybe if we weren't podcasting, we'd record a video of the police. Put it on Twitter, Hattie, so they can come over there and see that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, police are everywhere these days.
Absolutely.
Protests and unrest everywhere.
Yeah, so you never know where a protest and some police brutality is going to break out. Maybe I'll catch it on camera. Actually, I did catch.
I will say, like,
I did catch. I don't want to cut you off, but I don't want to.
no.
This
You
either.
finish your statement.
I did catch some police brutality on video while I was out working, probably a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
And
Oh, boy.
I have a video of it on my phone. Maybe I'll put it on Twitter. It was of a woman getting tased. That,
Oh my God.
I mean, who doesn't want to see that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't catch the actual tasing,
Harlem
but
Shake.
I caught like the arrest and like I might have caught a little bit of the tasing. I'm not sure. I'll have to look back at the video.
I hope you caught the tasing.
I
That
caught-
sounds fun.
I think I caught a little bit of it, but it was a melee. I would call it a melee.
All right.
And it was pretty intense. I was pulled over on the side of the road doing a report for work, and all of a sudden, like 15 cops pulled into this little street and like got out and like tased this woman, and then all like the neighbors in this like low income area started running out and being like, "What are you doing tasing her? She's pregnant!" Like all this craziness ensued. It was wild.
So let me guess here. When you're going through all this whole debacle that you were watching, was the girl's name Karen by any
It was
chance?
not.
Was it a Karen?
It was not a Karen.
I feel like it should be a Karen. She's trying to
It
fight her
should be
rights
a
as to why
Karen.
that stop sign is there, and it's blocking the view
it
to her
does sound
foyer.
like the behavior of a Karen. I'm not going to hazard a guess as to the name of the person.
Karen.
It was not. I would be shocked if it was a Karen.
I will tell you, just the other day we were sitting at a restaurant across
Full
from
on
a whole
Karen.
table of Karens. It was great. It was a glorious moment of people watching.
How many Bob haircuts were there?
All of them.
At l-
All of them were
All
Bob
of them were
haircuts.
Bob.
Well, there was the one
Well,
younger
I
lady.
guess there was
Bob.
a little bit longer.
But out
But
of like
most of
the
them were
6
Bob
people, it
haircuts.
was at least
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Yeah, that's how you know you're sitting at a table next to Karen's.
Oh man, what was it? What they were talking about? They're talking about something ridiculous. They were talking about
taters.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were
literally
talking about
tots.
tater tots. I kid you not. There is apparently a website called tatertot.com. That's just a tater tot button.
Not a
and
sponsor.
they were
Let's just hope
losing
it's
it
not a
over.
porn website.
Okay.
I certainly hope not.
Yeah, don't go
Yeah,
visiting.
don't
random
go looking
websites.
that up. We really don't know. Again, it is Karen, and I don't really endorse what they're doing.
Yep.
But I will say, we
yes.
live in a super conservative town, and there's been a lot of cops with sirens lately, which is unusual. Like, you get, like, one... Like, we live right in Corning. We get, like, one or two big siren, probably a week.
Would you mean
like,
conservative or safe town?
Safe.
Yeah.
Safe,
Yeah.
conservative. Like,
I think Corning's a fairly liberal city.
Yeah. I mean, like, more on the lines of, like, it's a pretty quiet...
Yes, it's a very
like,
quiet town.
Safe, like,
Yeah.
it's rural.
Yes.
Like, it's
No.
a pretty rural town. For
We
anyone who
don't
lives in a
have
big
murders.
city.
We don't have robberies or,
Right.
violence or anything like that.
Right. Like, the biggest news of the last 2 years was, like, some person who shot his gun at a couple squirrels in his backyard, and, like, the neighbors got all upset and everything. But, it happens.
I guess it does.
But, like, we get, like, an ambulance siren every once in a while. Mm-hmm. You get, we live right on one of the main, like, bigger main roads, and people get pulled over. So you hear, like, a siren or two.
Yeah.
But lately, it's been just about every night, one or two.
Yeah.
I mean,
you
maybe
get a siren, which
it is because
unusual.
of the quarantine that's going on, and people do have more time to think to not actually think. If that makes
I mean,
any
I'm
sense.
sure.
That doesn't make
They're
any sense to
They're
me.
thinking not to think because they don't think and do something stupid, and then the police show up.
People are going to be
That is
rewinding to listen to that again and again
They're
and
gonna
again,
think
trying
not to think.
They're going to try to think about thinking not to think. So
I mean, that's kind of a specialty around here. I mean, with most of the rural areas that we're in, they
Yeah.
think not to think. It's
Yep.
kind of their forte. But
hey,
you know,
I'm from
just
the rural
trying
area, so
I'm just
them
trying
words
to
are fighting
adapt to
words.
local culture here, all right?
man.
Nothing going on that's wrong.
And Hattie looking for the last couple drops out of his little rum chata shot there.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch shot.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch shot.
Which is
They're
a
very
man
tasty.
shot, by the way, because every man likes his cereal.
Yep. I do
Yep.
love cereal.
Who doesn't like
What's-
Cinnamon Toast
Cereal
Crunch
is
cereal?
amazing.
What's your favorite cereal?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is up there.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is
Yeah.
very high up there.
I mean, I feel
So
like
is
it's
Fruity
like,
Pebbles.
yeah, it's Fruity
I think
Pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles is my favorite.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I mean, Fruit Loops are up there.
Fruit Loops don't. I'm not a huge Fruit
They're
Loops guy.
top 10.
I mean, I've always been a fan of Fruit Loops.
They're top
I mean,
10.
What's,
But
what's
like,
your Mount Rushmore? Pick your four best. Let's start with Hattie. It seems like Hattie's got it figured out. We'll go to James next.
Golden Grams,
Ooh, Golden Grams real good.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch,
Love it.
Fruity Pebbles,
I'm with you so far.
and the fourth one's real tough. I don't know. Like, Cinnamon Life is good.
I think okay.
I also like Cookie Crisp.
Ooh,
Okay.
Cookie Crisp is good.
Cookie Crisp.
Cookie Crisp.
I have not had
for,
Cookie
for
Crisp.
those early 2000
It's probably been
commercials.
20 years since I've had Cookie Crisp.
Pretty good, though.
What were the little? Oh man, the marshmallow.
Lucky Charms?
No. What are the little bars that you get? I'm drawing a
Rice
blank.
Krispie Treats.
Rice Krispie Treat, like
Cereal,
bite cereal.
yes.
That
Yeah.
was real good.
That was good.
I
But
was
that
gonna
was-
say, well, there's also s'mores, isn't there? That's a cereal,
There
isn't
might
it?
be.
Yeah.
There
That
might
has
be.
like little marshmallows in it.
Yeah,
What's
but
your-
definitely, if I had to buy cereals, it would be Fruity Pebbles, Golden Grams, and
Cinnamon Toast Crunch. What's your Mount Rushmore, James?
I don't know if this is particularly in order, but I would say Cinnamon Toast Crunch,
Gotta have it.
Fruity Pebbles,
Gotta have that.
Fruit Loops, and
Fruit Loops top 3.
yeah, I mean,
All right,
I
all right.
really like Fruit Loops.
I don't
man.
mind Fruit Loops.
No shame in his
Fruit
game.
Loops isn't bad. And I'm trying to think of the fourth one. I mean, Cookie Crisp is good. I do really like Life cereal, but I gotta say, as dumb as it sounds, Honey Bunches of Oats is really good.
That's in my four. You stole
Hey,
one.
there you go.
Okay, so my top four is, it's very easy for me. It's Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Fruity Pebbles. I'm going to go with Golden Grams, even though I would have forgotten about it. Golden Grams is like a honey version of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
They're a more crunchy version
Yes.
that doesn't get so soggy
Yeah.
as quick.
And my fourth
adult
one,
version.
is easily vanilla honey bunches of oat. I have 2 boxes of it in my keep away from the
Exactly.
kids cabinet. Because here's the thing, and if you neither of you guys have kids, you'll learn if you ever have kids, and the people listening probably do have kids. You know that if you got cereal in the house and you have kids in the house, as soon as if it's not the first bowl of cereal out of the bag, you can never eat that cereal again. As soon as you go to work for the day, if that bag of cereal's open, when you come home, that bag of cereal's tainted if the kids have access to it.
Hands all in there.
Hands all in there. They leave
Grubby
it open
little
so that a
fingers.
fly can go in there. You know, who knows what the heck they're doing with it.
Random chicken.
Hiding toys in them. I mean, who knows what they're doing with them. And that's why I have mine up in my liquor cabinet that's up above where no kids can reach.
Couple liquor and like 2 random boxes of cereal.
That's exactly what it is, actually.
So I will say I know my top 4 now.
Okay.
It is Frosted Mini Wheats with
Real? That's a
hear me out.
smash.
Let me finish.
I don't think I can.
With chocolate milk.
Yeah.
You pour a bowl of chocolate milk.
I have never done that in my entire
So
life.
you take a bowl, you pour the chocolate milk in there.
That's some serious fat kid energy going there.
and
Hey,
you
Hattie's
put
a fat
like
kid at heart.
you put like 5 little Frosted Mini Wheats in there, so you like get like kind of soggy and like good tasting, but not too soggy. Eat the 5 and you put 5 more in. You keep doing that.
Okay.
So you don't. So Frosted Mini Wheats, you like pour the bowl. If you pour the cereal over the milk over them, like the first 2 bites are real good,
You're like,
and then it gets real
and then
soggy.
gross.
That's why you pour the bowl
But
of
here's
chocolate milk.
okay. Here's
then
my
you put 'em
argument
in
with this. And
one
then we
on
really
one.
do have to move along because we're taking way too much time. We have
Yes.
a lot to get to today.
Yep.
My argument or my counter to that would be, if you need to pour chocolate milk into the bowl in order to save the cereal from itself,
But it's so good.
okay, but how many cereals would be amazing with chocolate milk as the milk?
Rice Krispies.
All of them.
It's true.
I don't know.
Ima-
Rice Krispies
imagine-
and Frosted
imagine-
Mini Wheats are my top 2
Imagine
for
Cocoa
chocolate milk.
Imagine Cocoa
Yeah.
Pebbles. Cocoa Pebbles with like a chocolate milk.
It's almost like the dark chocolate lava cake of
I don't know.
cereals.
Now that we're talking about like different milks and different cereals, I think Cocoa Puffs with strawberry milk
I can't do
sounds
Cocoa-
pretty tasty.
Cocoa Puffs look like little poops.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
can-
it does
You,
look like
you
a
get
rabbit
good flavored
removed
milk
itself.
after you eat
Okay.
them, though.
Yeah, but I can't like. And I want to give an honorable mention to Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries.
Ooh, I like the Oops All Berries.
Oops, all berries would be fine. I like a little bit of non-berry in my cereal, to be perfectly honest. The only downside of that is it does tear the crap out of the roof of your mouth.
That is true.
You know,
No,
I
it
don't
is
know if
really
there's
good.
like glass shards in Captain Crunch, but
I don't know.
Hattie's
Man,
looking like
they
he has
are
no idea what
real
we're
hard.
talking about.
I don't.
Do you
They
have
will
like
tear the roof of your
you have like a
mouth up.
titanium plate in the roof of your
I
mouth?
don't know. I've never gotten chewed up by
I mean, it's-
Captain Crunch.
I don't know. I mean, I agree with Tom here. They are super,
It really is
super
abrasive,
crunchy.
very abrasive.
What's actually kind of funny is that one of my closest friends was like, you know how they have sushi bars, and he's big into cereal. He's like, why don't they have cereal bars? Like, I mean, realistically, they have
do have
restaurant-
cereal bars.
They have restaurants literally for everything, though. But is there a restaurant that's purely all cereal? I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, it's not really that absurd to think of. You just go and choose whatever cereal you want. I mean, there's.
I'm sure in Japan there's a cereal
Well,
restaurant for
yeah,
sure.
I'm sure. I guess we just got to go to Japan and find out. It's just it's an interesting idea, and I do think I would support it.
All right, so we got to move along here to the news because we are running way over time. So we're going to move it along to our NFL news segment.
Oh, yeah.
Ba-da-ba-bum-bum-bum-bum-ba-da-da-da. News. So let's go to Hattie. We're going to start you off today for the news.
I'm going to start right off in the Antonio Brown corner. Haven't had this section in a while.
Thankfully.
He tweeted today. Or yesterday. Might have been yesterday.
I think today.
That he is done with football. For like the 3rd time he's tweeted this. But he tweeted it out today. He said he's done. Who knows? He'll probably be back next year with a random team, play 3 games, get kicked to another one, and play a game, and then be out of the league again.
I
And
think
be
he's
tweeting
done.
again.
I think he's done, not by his own admission, but I think he's just done because nobody wants him anymore.
Oh,
and
I
he
think
knows
he's
that.
going to be on a team.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, we'll see.
All right.
Maybe he predicted it, and he's like, before anyone, wants to disown me, I'm going to disown myself.
That's
and
what
say
I
am
would do
done
if I
with
were
football.
him.
I think he tried that 2
Right.
times already.
Right.
And teams
Hey.
are still like, hey, he's super talented. Let's
Third
take a
time's the
chance.
charm. You don't know.
It's like when you preemptively break up with your girlfriend because you know she's about to dump you. It's like I'm quitting you. You're not quitting me.
Yeah. How's that conversation go? You're like, I realize you are too good for me, so I'm going to walk away.
Oh no, AB would never ever say that. But all right, let's move it along. James, what do you got first up?
Okay, so we have, let me see here, it's on AJ Green, and he is signing a franchise tag and reporting to camp.
All right, so AJ Green famously sat out all of last season, whether or not the injury that he was dealing with was real or not, or at least required him to miss the entire season last season. That's up in the air, I suppose. But as far as him being back this year, it's going to be really good for Joe Burrow. So definitely looking forward to seeing him back on the field. I'm sure that the Bengals fans are also looking forward to the same thing.
Yes,
right.
I mean it's good for fantasy news.
Yes.
I mean he's a top 24 wide receiver, so he's going to be a starter on your fantasy team. So this is good news for that.
Very much so. All right, my first thing that I got here is after the NFL kind of trying to concede with the NFL Players Union to have a 2-game preseason and the NFL Players Union pushing for 0 games, the NFL Players Union Association has won out, and there has almost assuredly going to be 0 preseason games, which, considering everything,
I hope so.
No injuries, no coronavirus, from other teams. Like, how mad would you be if your starting quarterback gets coronavirus from a preseason game?
Coronavirus.
It would be such an obnoxious thing to do. If it happens at camp, it happens at camp. But you know what? Not playing preseason games, I'm fine with that. I only hope that the NFL allows for a larger, a larger roster to provide for that.
Yeah, I hope they make some concessions on the roster and stuff. I kind of wish they would have one.
Yeah.
Purely for the teams that have drafted, big time quarterbacks, big time wide receivers, like key positions where you're we think this is the player of our future. Get them out there in a preseason game and really get some real game time tape on them. Mm-hmm. And if they have 0 games, you don't have that.
Right.
And you're kind of starting the season and you're well, we don't really know what we have, but we're going to try them out. We're going to throw them out there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's the one downside. I think rookies kind of get the short end of the stick on the deal because they don't get any, real-time action, so to speak, with that. So, but, I mean, if you have an Aaron Rodgers on your team, like I do, I mean, you're pretty happy. You're I don't have to watch him or, pray that he doesn't get injured in a meaningless game, so...
Yep, I completely agree. So, that'll be interesting to see how that goes. What's your next item up?
My next item up is the MetLife Stadium, as in the Jets and the Giants will not have any fans in the stands, as New York is not going to allow it.
Yeah.
So they're not going to have any fans for Jets or Giants games for the 2020, the entire season.
Yes.
Nobody in the stands. MetLife Stadium.
And we don't have a ton of time to discuss it because of our cereal and sour talk, but it is of my opinion that we will not have any fans in the stands for any NFL team for the entire season. I don't think that the NFL is going to allow for one or half the league to not have a home field advantage of having fans in the stands where other teams are because they're in a different state or different area of the country. I think that this is going to be a situation where when the pandemic hit and there were certain teams that were not able to be in their facility because states said, you weren't allowed to be in your facility during that time.
Yep.
And the NFL came out and said, listen, no teams are allowed to be in their facility if every team's not allowed to be in their facility. I'm of the opinion that's going to be applied in the same way to not having fans. It's safer also.
I'm of the opposite opinion.
Okay.
I think it's going to be state-based. I think the NFL is going to allow whatever states allow. Mm-hmm. More money. And
money does win out a lot of times.
Money wins out a lot of times. So I think there's going to be a couple states like New York, like California, like the real states that are extra careful. Mm-hmm. But I think there's going to be games played in Tennessee. I think there's going to be games played in Texas.
What are you saying about Tennessee and Texas, Harry?
I'm just saying
we have a lot of listeners in Tennessee, so I don't want to.
Sure.
We love our Tennessee listeners. Boy, do we.
We love all our listeners, and we're not being political here.
That's
but
right.
I just think the world event, like the U.S. events of teams and where they are located. Mm-hmm. I think if New York says they're not going to have games, I think that's going to include Buffalo. And I think that's going to include New York City, where New York teams play. Mm-hmm. I think there are going to be fans in the stands in Jacksonville, in Houston, in Nashville, in
Can you drop a y'all bomb?
No way.
Hattie, come on, buddy.
I'm against all of that.
It's been a long time since we dropped a y'all bomb, y'all.
My wife is from Tennessee,
Yes, she
and
is.
I have banned her from saying that in my house.
What?
You can say whatever you want about that, but
I'm gonna
proper
drop
English.
I'm
Proper English.
I'm gonna drop a y'all bomb to her. Is she over there?
Oh, she's over there. She's giving me
Yep.
she's giving me a dirty look.
As soon as she was mentioned, she just popped around the corner.
She knows it's true.
How you doing, y'all?
Hey, y'all.
Hey, y'all.
And the thing is
Hey,
that
come here real quick. Come here. Can we get a y'all bomb for our listeners? A true Southern y'all.
How y'all doing?
I love it. Can't get enough of it.
Don't worry, I'm going to cut that
You
out
better not
real
cut it
quick.
out. You better not.
But I think there's certain states that are going to allow it and certain states that are not.
Okay.
And like more revenue, more money for the NFL is good news.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can have fans in the stands, they're going to. I think they're going to be limited.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think there's going to be 70,000
It'll
fans.
definitely be limited.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be
If
70,000
it happens,
fans in a
it's not
stand
gonna happen, though.
of an NFL stadium. But I think there will be certain teams, certain cities that will have people there watching live games.
There's no unfair advantages.
Mark my words,
All right.
T-Bone.
Hey, I'd say you want to bet on it, but we don't bet. But
We need to bet like to eat something real gross. You need.
you want dare?
Yeah, a dare.
Okay.
So
What's your grossest thing?
You have to
fried
eat.
pickle.
No. You have to eat a full slice of toast with some good old Marmite on it.
Okay.
Like a good thick
Okay,
layer of Marmite.
Well, do you still have the little?
I do,
the little
I kept
packets?
it.
All right. So
No. Well,
the little packets that came
Yeah.
in Nick.
no, I have the jar that we tasted.
You still have that?
Yeah. It's not Marmite. It's
Vegemite.
Vegemite. And,
So a full
man.
slice of
Okay.
toast of Vegemite
Okay.
with my thickness of Vegemite
okay,
on
hold
it.
on.
Oh, goodness.
Under a half inch.
Okay. no.
Under half inch. Okay.
I think it should be a reasonable schmear. Okay. Not like
It's gonna be not like you can't see the toast underneath the schmear.
You might want to watch how adamant you are about the thickness of the Vegemite. Because
No,
you
it's gonna
are
be-
very likely wrong on this.
It's going to be a you cannot see the toast underneath
Okay.
its smear.
All right.
Okay. All right. And okay, if it's that thick, I think it's reasonable to say half a piece of toast.
Nope, full piece of toast.
It's impossible for
you
us to
know
get that
how
much down.
long it's
Like,
going to take Tom to
two-
get that piece of toast down.
That's fine.
It'll be a Patreon episode.
2 centimeters of Vegemite on
I'm
top
not
of toast.
from where Vegemite and Marmite come from. I have no idea how thick a centimeter
Australia.
is.
How do you not know how much thick
I'm pretty sure
centimeter
Because
is?
I'm
Centimeters is-
American?
Have you ever looked at a ruler?
Yeah, the right side of it.
All right, so
All right. I'm looking it
Yeah,
up right
yeah, these
now.
are
2 centimeters to inches. Okay, I'm doing it.
All right.
it's not that much.
Millimeters are not
like
that much. No,
that much.
that is millimeters, not centimeters.
Yeah.
2 centimeters to inches is 0.787 inches, and we are not endorsing bowling.
Okay, so that's
here. It is
3/4 of an
787.
inch. You.
So millimeters.
Okay.
Sorry.
All
Millimeters.
right, yeah. I was gonna say, let's put
I don't-
3/4 of an inch of Vegemite on this and kill him from cholesterol.
Yes.
Although
Or
that
sodium.
would be a good bet.
It would be.
There.
Okay, a reasonable schmear is what I'm saying. You know, a solid. You know, you can't see crumbs or toast through it.
Yes.
In a whole.
Like,
Listen, I'm trying to help you out here. You're saying
Nope.
a whole piece.
whole piece of toast.
Okay,
You're like,
buddy.
please save my life here.
Okay,
The thing-
listen,
A
you're the
whole
one that's
piece
going to
of
be eating
toast.
it.
So the
And
thing
this is any fan in a stand for any NFL team.
No,
Oh, boy.
this is if every team can't have fans, then no team can have fans. I'm not saying that when a vaccine comes out, they won't reopen the stands to allow fans in. I'm saying as long as there is a disproportionate mix of like New York, you know, like the New York teams can't have fans in the stands, that no teams can because they're going to keep it even across the board. That's the rule. I'm not saying that if a vaccine comes out in September and it's safe by December to allow fans in the stands, that's not going to happen. What I'm saying is you're not going to have a situation where fans can't be in the stands in New York, but fans in our lovely friends down in Tennessee can have fans in the stands.
So
that it's going to be even across the board.
What you're
what you're
saying is
saying
like
is
an
the-
all for one and one for all type
yes.
of law.
Yes.
This is changing the
That
deal.
is not changing it at all. If you were to listen from the get-go, that's what it was.
Well, I
Sounds
don't
a
know
little
about that.
Well, what is it, Hattie? Because that's what I'm saying is the NFL.
I was saying that you were saying like no
advantage.
Fans in any stand for the whole year.
No, you know full well what I was saying, which is that there's not going to be an unfair advantage.
This is
James,
new to me.
What was I saying?
I would say that he has a point where it's like the NFL is trying to make the point where it's like, if the Jets or the Giants or whoever, whether it's a winning or losing team, likely losing, but what I'm saying is that if their fan base cannot be in the stands, in the bleachers, on the bleachers, enjoying the game, why is it? I mean, even if the state law allows it, it really wouldn't be fair for other states to hold gatherings at their games.
True.
So I'll still take that.
Okay.
You
Perfect.
think it's going to be even across the board, no matter what?
Yes. If it's safe for fans to be in the building. Then
in New
every
York,
stadium.
You think it's safe to be in Seattle,
right? So if it's not legal for it in New York, the NFL's not going to allow it anywhere, kind of thing, because it creates an undue advantage.
I will take that.
Okay,
I think.
Oh, you are going to be eating. You're going to be eating some Vegemite.
You're going to be eating some. It's not Vegemite.
Marmite then.
No, it's Vegemite.
No, it is Vegemite.
It's Vegemite.
Marmite's the Australian one. Marmite.
Me and you ate Marmite.
Yes.
Me and you ate Marmite when we ate.
Is there two differences between Marmite and Vegemite?
They're the same ones. Like
Vegemite is actually a little bit more mild. Ooh, from what I've heard.
Goodness. I mean, last year I went to Denmark and I met some Australians and they're like, you have to try Vegemite. You're saying Marmite is stronger
than
Vegemite.
From what I've heard.
Goodness.
Yeah,
I have some in my cupboard. I'll give you some.
It's bad. It's real bad.
It's real bad.
I don't want to do that, but okay, let's continue.
Maybe we'll do it.
But that ends our... Oh, actually, we have one more news item.
Okay, yes.
That is true. I am sorry if I mispronounce your name, but what I'm going to say is Raheem Mostert.
You got it.
You got it.
Requesting trade from the 49ers.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's... I mean, honestly, I think that's a good deal. Like, if you're a fantasy owner of him, I think that's a good deal.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
Get him onto a team that needs him.
Yeah, the 49ers were a running back by committee. They tried him and Matt Berea, and then they signed Tevin Coleman. If he gets to another team... that really
but
wants
also,
him and actually going to use him.
San Francisco just absolutely always injures their running backs anyway.
I mean, this is true, but I mean, either way, you have a triple back monster.
Yep.
For fantasy news.
Yep.
I want him on a different team.
I like it too.
And we're good.
All right, so let's move it along. We're actually going to move it along. I got a little game planned for you guys that we're going to try and buzz through real quick. We haven't done this before, so I'm hoping you guys at home are going to enjoy this. So we'll be right back. All right, so we have a new segment for you guys, and we are going to be doing something that I like to call 2 facts and a lie. At least until I come up with a better name for it. It's kind of like a spin on 2 truths and a lie. All right, so we have, I'm going to read 3 facts, quote-unquote facts, because 2 of them are actual facts, crazy NFL facts, and then one of them is one that has been concocted inside of the cockamamie brain that I have between the calcium in my head.
All right.
So we'll start out here, okay?
Okay.
All right, you guys ready? James, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm actually going to let James go first.
Okay.
All right,
so the first fact is Tom Brady once went 16 regular season games spanning the 2007 and 2008 season without throwing a single interception. So it spanned like the end of 2007 into 2008.
Okay.
So I'm supposed to say whether that's a fact or a lie.
No, I'm going to read all 3.
All three,
okay?
Okay.
The next fact is Mark Sanchez, the previous Jets quarterback, has a higher postseason quarterback rating than Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Dan Marino, Troy Aikman, and Warren Moon. Okay?
Okay.
You got that?
He played in less games, so I'm sure he does. All right.
Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and this is the next fact. Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the Patriots have scored a grand total of 3 first quarter points in the 9 Super Bowls that they've been to. So out of all 9 Super Bowls, they've only scored 3 first quarter points.
So we got to pick the untruth in that.
Yes, which one is a lie?
Find out the lie between the 3.
So 16 straight without an interception. Sanchez having a higher postseason quarterback rating than the greats. Mm-hmm. And Brady and Belichick only scoring 3 first-quarter points in all of their Super Bowls combined.
All right. Well, I will say that numbers can tell a lot of things.
Okay.
I'm going to say the third one is the false one.
That's what I want to say, but I'm really trying to think it over. I feel like it's either the second or the third.
We'll go with it.
The first one, unfortunately, no matter how much you want to say it's not, it's probably the truth just because that's how it is. Yeah. I'm going to have to say I want to say it's the third one.
Teddy?
I'm going to go with the third one as well.
The lie is the first one.
Wow!
The first one is the lie. Wow.
Tom Brady did not go the 16 games straight without throwing a pick between those 2 seasons.
The thing is, it's one of those things where it's like you have to look it up to know because it's Tom Brady. And
the
it's
thing
like,
is,
it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree.
This was skewed because you're a Jets fan and a Tom Brady hater.
I've tried to kind of lump things together when I found these facts, and then I tried to create like a fact. So there's going to be kind of common themes between these.
Okay.
I tried to lump them in that way.
Okay.
Okay.
I will take Brett Favre in the playoffs over Mark Sanchez any day.
Yes. All right. So the next set of facts is fact 1. The New England Patriots haven't drafted a single Pro Bowler in the last 6 drafts. Okay.
Okay.
Next fact. The Cleveland Browns have had more draft picks than any other team in the last 20 years, and not a single one of them has made the Pro Bowl. The third fact, the Oakland Raiders once hilariously attempted a 76-yard field goal in a game.
First one is false.
All right, so just to recap, Patriots have not drafted a Pro Bowler in 6 years. Cleveland has not drafted a Pro Bowler in 20 years. Or the Raiders tried a 76-yard field goal. Are you looking stuff up over here?
No.
I think phones should be down during this section.
No, we're not looking things up. I'm talking about whiskey here, okay?
All right.
Like a grown man.
All right. So, what is your option, or what are your decisions?
Number 1, 2, or 3.
Do you need me to recap them again?
I mean, I don't feel like number 2 is accurate, but maybe I'm not right. I mean, all right, can you please recap number 2?
I'll recap all 3 of them.
All right.
The Patriots haven't drafted a Pro Bowler in the last 6 drafts. The Browns have not had a Pro Bowler in the last 20 drafts. And the Raiders tried a 76-yard field goal once.
The thing is all of those are believable. But you said is it the Browns haven't done 20? I mean, I feel like it's either 1 or 2. But then again, I don't know. At this point, it's like, what it...
All right, we got to have an answer here.
I'm saying 2. I'm saying 2.
Hattie, what are you saying?
I say 1.
All right. The correct answer for the lying stat is that the Browns have had more draft picks than any other team and have not drafted a Pro Bowler in 20 years.
Look at that! I was right!
All right.
So Myles Garrett didn't make the Pro Bowl.
Huh?
Myles Garrett didn't make the Pro Bowl.
I'm sure he did, which is why that's a lie.
He was drafted by the Browns, wasn't he?
I'm saying they haven't drafted a Pro Bowler. I'm saying they've had... In the last 20 years, they have not drafted a single Pro Bowler.
All right.
So they have drafted a Pro Bowler.
Well, if your thing is the Browns have not drafted a Pro Bowler,
right? So that's a lie.
Yeah. So they're saying they haven't. They have not. It's like they chose
you've had too many sour beers over there, Eddie. Your mind's starting to go crazy.
I get it.
Because they have drafted a Pro Bowl in the last 20 years.
Okay.
Pro Bowler in 20 years.
I get it.
Right.
I would have changed my haven't drafted a Pro Bowler was no pro okay.
Okay. All
I
right.
get it.
Let's move it along here.
I get it, but moving along, I was confused.
Tidbit confused.
All
okay,
right.
we got it.
There's 2 true facts that I'm about to read, and one of them's not true. Just to recap for you guys.
Say what now?
Okay, here's the next set of facts. Fact 1. Adam Vinatieri, the kicker, signed his rookie deal closer to the Vietnam War than to present day. Okay?
Okay.
Fact number 2. The 2010 Chargers had the number 1 offense and the number 1 defense and missed the playoffs. In fact number 3, every head coach in the NFL has come through either the Bill Parcells or the Andy Reid coaching tree.
I'm going with number 3.
Yeah, I'm going number 3
That's
as well.
a real big stretch there.
Yep.
Yeah, number 3's false.
All right, it is. You guys got that one.
All right.
That one was the most shaky of all the lies that I wrote. I almost didn't use it. All right, and I think these are the last. These are the last 3. All right. Fact number 1: Frank Gore has a cousin with the same name, who was also drafted as an NFL running back. Fact number 2: the state of Florida the teams that are in the state of Florida have 9 out of the 10 top NFL selling jerseys. All right. In fact number 3, Blake Bortles has the 3rd highest completion percentage on 3rd down in history of the NFL.
So I'm going to say number 1 is the lie.
All right.
I mean, number 1 is definitely out there. And that's the first thing that I thought. I mean, honestly, the other 2 don't. I mean, I'm going to admit I don't know a ton about football, but number 1 seems out there, so I'm going to go with Hattie there. Number 1 is it.
All right, you both locked in?
Sure.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean, I'd say so.
All right, you're both right.
I
figured that one was so crazy that
that's way out there, but okay.
I figured maybe I had the ability to get you on that one because it was so crazy.
Yeah, so all right.
Wasn't that fun?
That was pretty fun.
Yeah,
We need
enjoy that.
we need to do more of those.
Yeah, so I'll try and do another one for next week's show.
All right.
All right. So where are we at on time, Hattie?
So we need to get into the NFC West divisions.
Okay, but where are we at on time?
6 minutes.
Okay. Do you want to bump the divisional stuff?
Nope.
No? Okay. Well, then let's do it real quick.
Yep.
Okay. So, moving along, we're going to continue our NFC, or our NFL, around the NFL type spotlight. Is that what we're calling it, spotlight?
Sure.
NFC West spotlight. And we're going to look at the division. So, we have the Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, Cardinals in the West. So, let's go ahead and look and see
And
how
the
we think it's going
49ers.
to shake out.
Don't
I said
forget
that.
about them.
I did say them.
Did you?
I did.
Did you not say Rams?
I said Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, and Cardinals.
All right.
All right. So who do you have coming in last place?
Old lasty place. I got the Cardinals coming in last place.
Okay.
I have them at 7-9. I think they make an improvement from last year.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of have a tough schedule.
Mm-hmm.
7-9, last place, 4th.
Yeah. So you're saying 7-9. I am with you with the Cardinals. I'm saying 8-8. I think this is a good division. I almost considered maybe trying to do like a crazy baller, like maybe the Cardinals are going to win the division this year. Were you thinking the same thing?
So I was thinking that there's 3 teams that have a legitimate chance.
Seriously.
Of winning the division.
Okay.
Cardinals is not quite one of them,
Yeah.
just because of their schedule.
I know,
and
but they're like a
some
little
other
bit. They're like got like a wild hair in them. You know.
They do. They got that like wild little
Anything could
spruce
happen,
hair.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think they're last place, 7-9.
Okay. All right. And James does not have anything for this segment.
Unfortunately, no.
He was an addition to the podcast here, kind of last second. So
Hi.
he was going to be here for the whiskey tasting, but then we kind of just threw him in and said,
I feel like I've been useful.
yes. All right. So next up, I have 49ers actually coming in 3rd place at 9-7. I think there's
Wow.
going to be a serious drop off or regression to the mean. You know, last year they were picking, I think, 3rd in the draft, and then went on to the Super Bowl. I think there's going to be a little bit of a correction. I don't think they're going to be bad. Obviously, they're going to be better than 8-8. I picked 9-7 for the 49ers.
Yeah, so I almost did something similar with the 49ers. I mean, you can look at history and see the Super Bowl winner usually has a bad
Drop
year
off,
the next
yeah.
year. There's a very big drop-off. I flip-flopped a lot.
Yeah, it's a
on
hard
these
division.
3 teams because I looked at their schedules,
Yeah.
but I'm looking at the schedules, and 3rd place for me goes to the Seahawks.
Okay. All right.
I think
I
they're
don't think it's crazy.
I think the Seahawks are an 9-7 team.
Okay.
I really don't like what they've done with their team the last few years.
Yep.
Pete Carroll had they went deep in the playoffs for like 4 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They lost a lot of pieces. Salary cap came in. They couldn't re-sign people. Their offense dropped off. Their defenses dropped off significantly. and I have them in the third place spot at 9-7.
Okay. All right. So my third place I already covered. So I have in second place the Seahawks. Not very far off again from you. I have them at 10-6. I think that they have still some offensive line, some running back issues. They're a run heavy team is what they like to do. Their defense, I think, still needs a couple pieces to get back to where they'd like to be. 10-6 is not bad. I think they're a playoff team, wild card spot. But at this point, for me, they're not winning the division based on their current roster. So I have the Seahawks at number 2 in the division for me.
Yeah, so number 2 for me, I flip-flopped on this one a lot because I think the Los Angeles Rams are going to have a big a recoming for what they do. I think last year they played below potential. They were 9-7, I believe, is what the record was last year. I think they're going to make a big improvement this year. I think they could take this division, but looking at their schedule, between them and the 49ers, like you look at their schedule, and 49ers have an easier schedule. Obviously the Rams are coming off of a disappointing season after the Todd Gurley. Like, there's questions about whether he was really injured or it was like a coaching issue or he did really have knee problems. Is it worse than they're going out and saying that there is? But I have them at 10-6.
Okay.
I have them making a little bit of a rebound. Rams.
Oh, Rams.
Los Angeles
okay,
Rams.
Gotcha.
I have them making a little bit of a rebound from last year. I have them in second place at 10-6.
Okay. And I have the Rams actually winning the division at 12-4. I think that this year is going to be a big year for teams that are already familiar with each other and familiar with the coaches as far as the quarterback and the offensive weapons and the defense is being solid. I think this is a really, really big year for teams that are already complete being able to really thrive and succeed because there's so much that was missed in the offseason. You're not going to have the preseason for those things to gel. Really genuinely, who actually knows how much a team is going to be able to get prior to games starting? I mean, they're planning on rookies actually reporting the day that this podcast drops, but that could change at a moment's notice. And so I think the Rams are a very complete team already. They're familiar with Sean McVay as the head coach. The defense is a very well-rounded unit. The offense has a lot of pieces and a lot of talent on them. I don't think that they needed a lot. I just feel like they didn't really come together as a team last year.
Yeah.
And I think that they have the ability to really gel and have that edge that a lot of other teams that are kind of just coming together don't have. And I got them going 12-4 for the division win.
All right, 12-4?
Yep.
All right. So I have, obviously you know what I have. I've already told you my last 3 teams. The 49ers are going to win the division, 11-5.
Again.
They have the easiest schedule. If you look at it and you look at the teams that everyone's playing, and you go down through it, and if you don't take anything else into consideration, because I did this, and you go through the teams that they're playing in winnable games and 50-50 games, I did, and I have them at 11-5. I have them winning the division, the 49ers, which is real rare for a Super Bowl loser to win a division, and that's why I was so conflicted. I think there are 3 teams in this division that could win the division. Okay. I think the 49ers, Seahawks, and Rams could all take it. I think the Cardinals are definitely going to be an improvement over last year. Okay. But I just...
It's going to be a competitive division.
It is.
I really think it's going to be a very good competitive division.
And I think it comes down to Seahawks and Rams just have a harder slug through the season of opponents than the 49ers do. So I'm gonna give it to them.
Okay.
Hesitantly, I'm going to give it to them.
It was a hard one to choose who was going to win the division.
Yeah, and I have all the top 3 teams only separated by a game. I have 11-5, 10-6, 9-7.
Yep.
So any of those things could change. But
the worst team in the division I have going 8-8.
Yeah, I have them 7-9 as Cardinals. So.
It could very well be a 3-team division for playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah,
I agree.
James like,
Thanks for weighing in, James. We appreciate it.
So
that does it for our spotlight series on the around the NFL. We do have one question from our listener. All right, so we are going
a good listener as well. Friend of the podcast listener.
Big time friend of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Our buddy Dave, he's a weekly listener. If we don't put a podcast out, he's always getting after me being like, what's the deal with no podcast? I'm like, hey, follow me on Twitter, and you'll see when I put out a tweet that says there's not going to be a podcast this week.
Twitpic.
Yep. So Dave asks, if Dak plays this year on the franchise tag, or if I should say, if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, obviously, we don't believe that's going to happen, right? But if Dak does play on the franchise tag and then they go to the Super Bowl and win, how much is Dak going to be worth next year? Which is a legitimate question because if you look back to the Joe Flacco with the Baltimore Ravens situation back before, he could have been re-signed before the season started in their Super Bowl winning year. He was not. And they ended up paying him a lot of money because he won that Super Bowl, and they knew they couldn't let him go. Mm-hmm. So, currently, what's the consensus that we have as far as Dak Prescott's worth right now? Around $30 million?
I think he's worth 29. Is where I
around
peg
30.
Him. I'm being a little bit picky.
Okay.
I think he's worth $29 million.
All right.
For his stats for the first 4 years and what he's done, $29 million is his value.
You're saying 29 for what? 3 years?
29 for 4 years.
All right.
Patty's like, would you say he's worth $29 million? No. I think he's worth about 29.8. Maybe 29.84.
I would say he's around for a 4-year contract. I'd say he's around $32 million.
Okay.
I wish I was.
Yes, if he goes and he wins the Super Bowl, you're going to be paying a premium for him because I don't know as if ever a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Although Nick Foles I think he was still under contract, but he has to be released or something.
Yep.
I'm not sure exactly. But a quarterback that wins the Super Bowl is, of course, going to demand more money. The question is, how much more money is he worth? I say if he wins the Super Bowl, it's a $5 million per year bump.
Yeah, I got him about the same.
Yeah.
I got him at 35.
Okay.
So, I mean,
$6 million bump for you.
Patrick Mahomes got a $42 million year deal averaged over 12 years. His contract is real long. Mm-hmm. If Dak Prescott takes that team to a Super Bowl
and wins,
everyone was pegging him at like 32-ish million for his current contract. I think he's worth 29. Mm-hmm. If he wins the Super Bowl, I think he's worth 35 to 37 is what you have to pay him to keep him. Mm-hmm. So I think he's on the low end.
Okay.
You look at all his stats and what he's done in the first 4 years. Mm-hmm. He's overpriced as it is.
Yeah.
Like not on his rookie contract, but what he is pegged at getting for his next contract, he's overvalued. Okay. For his stats.
Yeah.
I peg him at 29. If he wins the Super Bowl, it's a $6 million bump. Okay. 35
so we're both
over the course
price.
of 5 years.
Right.
Like, I know he wants a shorter contract. Jerry Jones wants a longer contract because he wants to, secure him in as the quarterback of the, America's team. Yep. Is the Cowboys at the biggest
lot of national airtime.
Yep.
It's and he's going to want to keep him there because a Super Bowl winning quarterback is worth more to Jerry than just the stats of how good Dak is as a quarterback. Yep. He says of course I got to keep that ball down here in Texas.
But
yeah.
Anything over $35 million is just ridiculous for Dak Prescott.
I would agree.
You look at his stats and what he has done. I mean, you look at his offensive line; it's great. He has Ezekiel Elliott. He has great offensive weapons. He had Jason Witten. He had, they brought in Randall Cobb. They had Amari Cooper. He had Des Bryant. Like, he's had a super good offensive talent around him his whole career, and he's still been subpar.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of offensive talent around him now. If he wins the Super Bowl, anything over $35 million is just way overpriced.
Yep. All right. And so before we wrap it up, Hattie, you still wanna pop off here? Go on your little rant, your tirade?
Oh yeah, my little tirade rant before we go into the whiskey tasting show after the show.
Yes.
I will say, with the coronavirus, this has copulate it a little bit more in the world of small business, like support your local businesses and all this kind of stuff.
Especially what's going on.
Yeah,
With
especially
what's
like
going on. Yeah.
everyone's saying like support your local business, like keep them in business so they're around after the coronavirus, because obviously everything's been hurt by it. I will say, if local businesses want us to actually shop and like be a patron of their store, make sure your website is updated.
This is what your rant's about?
Yes, because I have been to no less than 3 places
Okay.
this week
All right.
where I was like, been like, hey, are they open?
Uh-huh.
Check their website. And they're like, oh, they're open for business.
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm like, well, I'll be a patron. I will give you my money to come to your store.
Okay.
Travel down to the local stupid business that can't update their website,
Yeah.
and they're closed.
Yeah.
Like, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
You're a local business. You want to be supported by the local people and everything. Update your frickin' website.
Okay.
If I travel down to your store
Uh-huh.
or your place of business or whatever it is, and you are closed, and your website publicly displays that you're open, I'm going to be mad.
You better be open.
Be open.
Yep.
Update the frickin' website. I can't. I am so mad.
I
Me
hear
and my
that.
wife traveled down.
How far'd you go?
I mean, only like 3 miles, but whatever.
Okay. All right. Okay.
All right.
Hold
But I will
on,
say,
hold on.
me and my wife
Your
went
anger
to a
needs
store
to be tied
this
to
weekend.
the
We walked
distance you
to it,
trip.
right? We went to the store. It was closed
All right.
on like a Friday or Saturday.
Yep.
Okay.
In their window display.
You want to call them out by name, Hattie?
I don't actually remember.
I can call him out by name, but the thing is that
There was no hours in the window.
what Hattie is saying here is it isn't false. It is true.
Yeah.
Because, like Tom said, I'm right down the hallway. So if we want to have fun, it's Hattie and I that go down to try different things, different foods. We love our foods. We love our different beers.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
Half the time we go to try different
closed.
things or even to get food. They
Call
are closed.
ahead.
They're closed. It
That's
does
what I
not
do.
matter.
It does matter.
If Google Maps says they are open, update your hours.
If your website says that you're open,
Okay, you gotta bring it down. Yeah.
if your website says that you're open,
You gotta
be open.
You gotta bring it down.
No, I'm not going to bring
It's
it
true,
down.
Okay,
because
here's
it's
the thing. Here's the
really,
thing.
really
Here's
irritating
the
if
thing.
they're closed.
I don't. At this point in time, at the current juncture we are in human history, I don't trust Google.
I don't
say,
like-
you know what? Here's the thing. I was out working the other day, and I had to have a piece of paper printed off for a job that I needed to do, and
Paper.
I was an hour and a half.
Paper.
I was an hour and a half from home, right? So I'm not going home to print
Old
this.
man T-Bone.
Right? I had to have this thing printed off,
and I'm
and
running
so,
out of tablets and chisels.
and so I'm like, what am I gonna do? I Googled the local library in the area because that's what I'll do a lot of the times. I'll just go to a library and print it off. I don't
Library
know-
still exists.
I don't know why this is funny to you.
What is that? A library? I've never heard of this
Oh
thing.
my god, you guys are so ignorant. So I Googled a library that I knew that I usually go to if I have to print something off and I'm away from home, and it says on Google closed. I'm like, that sucks. You know what I did? I called them,
yeah.
and they were open.
Okay.
Oh,
And I would do the same thing. If it said they were open, I would call them and make sure if it's critical that they're open.
the thing
So
is
we have
that
done this before.
all right, go ahead.
So we actually called a business, like we wanted to go to a restaurant, and we looked it up, and it said they were closed. It's like, man, they looked really good. So I called them, and they were like, we're open. But that we were out of town, and there was a thing, we called them, we made sure they were open. But when you live, like, within 10 minutes, like, Market Street's a big street for us. That's where all the restaurants, bars, blah, blah, blah.
It's true.
They are. So you just kind of, like, take your chances 5 minutes from our house
Yeah.
to drive down there or walk down there and make sure that they're open. Obviously, you check Google before you go, but when you go all the way down there and they're not open, it's like we want to spend money
It's
at
real
your local
disappointing. It is
place,
very disappointing.
and you don't update your hours on your own website. Like, I get Google's wrong sometimes.
Yep.
But when you go to their official website of whatever you're doing, and it says like this happened to me today. I wanted to go to the cleaners. I had a couple shirts and stuff I wanted to take in. It said they were open till 6 p.m. I went. I got there at 5:03. They closed at 5.
Okay, so that's
Like,
obnoxious.
how frustrating is it to, I got 3 shirts and a pair of shorts. I was going to take down there to, have them do them. And they're closed.
Okay.
3 minutes after when they really were open.
Yep.
And their website advertised 6 p.m. That is super frustrating. We are patrons.
Yes.
We want to spend money at your place.
I will say...
Why can you not take 10 minutes to update your website to the proper things that when you are open?
But that
there
was
is no excuse.
That was pre-COVID also.
There is no excuse.
For instance...
no excuse.
I remember going over to our auto parts store, AutoZone, and they're open till 10 or whatever it is.
They were.
I showed up, whatever it was. It was pre-COVID. I showed up, 5, maybe 10 minutes before they were set to close.
And they were closed.
As the woman was walking up to the door, and she saw me walking up to the door, and she locked it. And I'm like, and I tried to open it. I'm thinking maybe she unlocked it for me because she saw me walking up. No, she locked it, seeing me walking up. And I knocked on the door. And she didn't turn around. And I banged on the door.
I agree with
them.
them.
And she turned around. And she turned around. And she came back. And she said, well, we're about to close. I'm like, you're not closed for 10 minutes. She's like,
yeah.
She's like, all right, come in. And then she was like, she had the audacity to say, well, you're lucky, normally we don't, it's like, what are you talking about? You close 10 minutes from...
You locked the door before they were scheduled to close.
This is part 2 of my rant. Since you segued into
I
was
feel
going to
like
save
this
it
is
for
another week.
For another one. This is
All right,
another week. No, I'm
we're
going
on
to
time.
do it. We're fine.
We're not
For this
fine.
rant, we're fine.
We're not
I will
fine.
say, you shop...
You've got to... It's got to be clipping
We're fine.
bad.
You say... You want to support a local business.
Mm-hmm.
You go to a local business because you know the person behind the counter, or you get better customer service, or you can talk to a person face to face.
It's true.
Because you get better service. And you
Ideally.
pay a premium for that service.
Right.
It's not much. It's like 10%.
Yeah.
For a local business,
Right.
usually a little bit more expensive.
Around that, yeah.
Yep.
But I will say, lately, local businesses have been real sucky.
Yeah.
You go in there and they're
not
like,
wrong.
you're just another customer, you're just another number, I don't care about you being here.
Yeah.
Any special communication or a relationship with you, they don't
Pay
care.
and get out.
It's like, well, you want me to pay a premium,
Yep.
I want service.
I hear you.
If not, I'm going to Amazon or Walmart or whatever.
A place that's way cheaper to know.
Yep. And you know what? I've ordered thousands of orders from Amazon over the course of my life. Thousands.
Yep.
I've had 3 issues. I've brought those 3 issues up with Amazon, and they have rectified them more than they probably should.
Yeah,
There's been
Amazon's got
several-
great customer service.
True, but they're a huge company, big conglomerate, blah, 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 not local, whatever. You go to a local place, and you're like, hey, I kind of had this issue. And they're like, man, we don't care.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else. I will go somewhere else. I will go to the cheaper place that delivers on time, will fix the issue. If you want my premium dollars for being a local place, don't be frickin' sucky at your job and let me come in.
I am a huge advocate for customer service.
Things.
I will give my money to a company if they, if they are willing to go the extra mile and provide me with good customer service. If I have an issue and they handle it without giving me any attitude, that's fine. Here's the thing.
I'm coming back.
I got
if
10
they
other
do
places.
that, I'm coming
I
back.
got 10 other places I can go to get the product that I'm getting from you.
Yep.
So if you want me to go to you, you better give me a good customer service in return, because customer service is the one thing that is the differentiator between getting a gallon of milk from this place and getting a gallon of milk from that place.
That is very true.
If I go to a local place and Bob is behind the counter.
Yep.
And he treats me great. And any issue I have he solves it and he gives me the thing that I want. And, I pay 10% extra.
It's true.
Whatever.
Yep.
I will pay it.
Yep.
I agree with both people here.
If you are rude and you don't care about me, why am I going to pay dollars at your store? I don't care if you're local.
And that's how
I
you
will
get
go to
back at 'em.
Walmart. I will go to Amazon.
That's how
I
you
will
do
go
it.
to a big conglomerate.
Because it's survival of the fittest, and the best people with customer service are the ones that will survive, because if you treat businesses like that, then they will go out of business, and that's how you do it.
But too often lately, local businesses have just got a huge stick up their butt, and they're like, we don't care. Well, it's like, I don't care about you. I will go other places.
Right.
I will spend my other money other
we
places.
have to move this along. All right, so I do
But
want to...
I have so much to say.
I
have so much to
John.
say.
We can have a Karen's podcast where we want to talk to people's managers on a different podcast, okay? But on this one, we do have to hurry it along. I do want to let our listeners know, if you're still listening, which if you are, God bless your hearts, because I don't know if I would have sat through...
This is good content.
This is really good content.
Three middle-aged whites sitting here complaining about not getting the best customer
about
service
that time.
when they're ordering their sushi or their saison beers, okay? But if we do have any listeners still listening, I do want to encourage you guys to make sure that you check in next week, because for the first time ever, we got a really cool special guest coming on the podcast. It's a pro scout for the NFL coming on the podcast, and so we want to have questions from you guys. If you have any that we can ask him, we want to hear from you. But we're really looking forward to having him on. It's Daniel Kelly. He was a pro scout for the New York Jets. So make sure that you let us know any questions you have. And we also want to thank our Patreon sponsors again. It's Darlene, Gus Berry, and Wes. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. Go over to patreon.com/grownmanspodcast if you want to support the show. Also, make sure that if you don't do that, you do at least go to Twitter and follow us there at grownmanspod, so you can interact with us, answer questions, or give us questions so we can answer them on the podcast. Other than that, Hattie, I think that's everything.
Yeah, I think it's right into the show after the show.
Roll the music.
Show after the show. I would say too legit to quit, but that's a little too cheesy.
James, don't you know after I say roll the music, that's when it's over?
I like to party.
I like the party as well.
No, I'm Rod, and I'm the only one who likes to party. Roll the music! Welcome into the show after the show, where we unbutton our top button, take off our tie, let our hair down.
I don't have a tie or top button, so...
You also don't have
true.
hair that needs letting down.
But
I mean, have you
getting-
seen how long my hair
It is getting close, though, Hattie.
we are classy like that. Do
look at how
not
look at how
question
long that
this.
hair is.
Listen, I'm in the same boat, buddy. I mean, mine's been underneath a hat this whole time, but
Except
Look at
yours
that
is a
right
little
there.
bit more
yours is a little bit long.
gray.
Yeah, mine's way more gray, dude.
It's
I
okay, it's
have kids that
experience.
like
It
to
is
make my life
wisdom.
miserable. So
Wisdom
I have
and
no gray
experience, my
hairs
friend.
yet.
you don't have a single one.
Not a single one.
I am. So
I have
gray.
more than Hattie does. I
They-
had 6 hairs
They
at one
come
point that
through
were
in
gray.
here.
Really?
At 18 years old.
Wow. I did not
Yeah,
know this.
That's
Right.
what happens when life gets hard.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's true.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't had the easiest life,
It's
but
true.
I don't have any
It's
gray
true.
hairs.
Yeah. All right.
I will
know our
say,
stories, but it's
my
fine.
dad, until he was like in his 50s, didn't
Yeah.
have any gray hair.
Really?
Like, people thought he dyed his hair
Yeah.
because it was jet black.
Yeah. Old
No
Buzz.
no gray hairs.
I never really. I don't think I think I met your dad once.
I know your brother
Buzz.
met him.
Yeah, I know he came. He came to town once, and I met him once, but just very briefly. Like I never
Yeah.
Yeah.
spent time with him. I know his name was
I don't
Buzz,
remember
which
too
I think
much
is cool.
Buzz, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was his
Lightyear.
nickname. That wasn't his real
Yes.
name, but yes.
But yeah. So what are we drinking today? James, you brought the bottle today, so why don't you
Oh,
tell us
yeah.
what we're drinking?
Bringing us a
So-
bottle for the podcast.
Today's tasting is a Japanese distilled whiskey
I love it.
called Kamiki.
Kamiki.
And- On top of this certain brand, Japanese whiskey is known for very flavorful, complex, smooth, and tasty whiskey. But especially for the price.
Yeah.
When
At
it comes
least in the States.
Yeah.
in the States, that is true. In here, in the U.S., and especially in New York, we, as a group, got into Japanese whiskey about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Something like that, I would say.
Yeah.
And Japanese whiskey is so impressively good, especially for the price,
As a category.
as a category, that it cannot be beaten. Because even at the store that I was at today, where I bought this Kamiki for us to try, because I specifically went out to buy a good whiskey for us to try at the podcast.
Like a good friend of the podcast does.
Of course.
That's how I do. It's one of those things where even the owner of the store was saying that no matter what you do or what Japanese whiskey you buy, there is no such thing as a bad Japanese whiskey. It's either a very good one, good, or
Passable.
It's passable, and it's not like you don't want to drink it. It is still drinkable, and that is what is so commendable about Japanese whiskey. Now, in this case, it is Kamiki, which is a malt whiskey that was aged in a cedar cask, which is very unique.
Yes, very unique.
Because the usual whiskey, Japanese, Scotch, Irish, does not matter. Bourbon does not matter where it was aged, is usually in a oak cask. This is in cedar. It is very unique, has a very unique nose, flavor, and complexity. So we will now get into that such thing.
Yeah. So yeah, we did the normal ranking that we normally do.
Yeah.
With our spreadsheet here. Maybe we should make this. Should we make the spreadsheet available on Patreon?
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
I mean, we can.
Yeah. I mean, that might be a nice perk for people that want to rank their own whiskeys again, so they can kind of see where we're coming from if they have whiskeys they want to try.
Yeah, absolutely. We can
We
actually.
don't have to obviously give them access to our Google Doc, but we can we can put the spreadsheet formula.
Yeah, we can put the spreadsheet formula
Yeah.
and the spreadsheet key.
Yeah.
Which 1 through
To let them
10
know,
is
right.
like where
I don't want to put
where
more
ranks is.
Yeah, I don't want to put more on your plate, but I don't know how to do that. So
Oh, amazing! He's like, we can do that.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can do
I don't
that,
mean to add more
Yeah.
to your plate, but can you do that?
All right, so yeah, let's get started here. Going through. It's a nice whiskey. This time we did not actually pour our whiskey at the beginning of the show and let it sit for the hour like we normally do.
We
Well-
did a couple hours before you came.
Okay. It is
true.
We
It
did
is
You
true.
pop
poured it and
the
let it
top
sit?
and let it
In the glass?
aerate.
Yeah, no,
Not in the glass.
Not
Okay, well-
particularly in the glass. So I came here about 3 hours ago. I came with the whiskeys that I had bought, and I had opened them and left them open since, especially the Kamiki.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily as accurate as being in a Glencairn
Right.
glass, but
Where
I
it
did
has a
let
lot
it
more-
breathe a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, exposure to the oxygen.
But we did pop the top
Okay.
and let it breathe a little bit.
In the particular distiller that I was at, well, not distiller, but rather the store that I was at, they did have Kamiki that was open, and the bottle was almost empty, and it was very interesting to see the complexity and flavor of an empty bottle of Kamiki versus what I had just bought. So we will get a little bit more into that as we continue to try it and rank the flavors.
So
But
for the nose,
yeah, let's just get into it. It's one of those things where it's like it really doesn't matter. Let's just get right into it because it doesn't matter how much you explain. It's going to explain itself.
Yes.
So let's go.
all right. So for the nose, I kind of get like a sweet. You don't get a lot of the cedar for me anyway in the nose. But as James said, it jumped out to me once he said it. There's like a cinnamon sugariness to it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So I get.
I got a preferred stock cologne, like a musk cologne, like not an unpleasant musk, like for me, like if you guys were alive in the 90s and 80s and you know what preferred stock smells like, there's like a certain essence to it.
I don't know what preferred stock cologne is.
Well,
but
go to a gas station and get cologne.
I know.
But imagine it like about four
But not
times
bad.
less as strong.
Yes, not even close to as strong.
It's the
a hint.
aroma.
It's a hint.
But tiny a bit amount of it.
Yes.
So I get a little bit of cedar, a little bit of like a honey. This is for the nose. A little bit of cedar, a little bit of honey, a little bit of wood. And there is like a slight, ever so slight, smoky overtone to it on the nose.
Yep.
And I rank the nose a 6.
I gave it a 6 also. And
Wow. Okay.
Newsflash here, me and Hattie literally ranked our scores literally the exact same for every category without consulting. It happened that way.
It happened that way.
What do you give it, James?
I gave it a 6.5.
Okay.
Hey, didn't you tell me I gave it a 6?
Said I gave it a 6.
So
Or maybe he upped it. I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, he gave it a 6
I'm-
what he told me.
I don't understand the Google Docs. It's a little bit screwed up with what we're using, but it is. I give it a 6.5. It's a little. I mean, it's close enough that it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I agree.
All right. So mouthfeel smoothness. It is a 48% alcohol content, so it's almost 100 proof alcohol.
Yeah.
So it's going to be by nature on the sharper side, not the smoothest. But I think it's for the alcohol content plenty smooth.
Yeah, I think so. I gave it a 6 on the mouthfeel and smoothness. I think it tastes smoother than the alcohol content suggests.
Yeah,
It's true. It's one of those things where I honestly did not realize until Hattie was dying in front of me, and Tom mentioned
got the hiccups.
He's got the hiccups, and it's one of those things where it's like, when it happens, it happens. You can't do anything about it.
Yep.
But when Tom mentioned that it was 48%, I'm currently staring at the box, and it's true. It's 48%, and that is very impressive because the usual alcohol percentage of any whiskey, I mean, that's relatively smooth. I mean, and typically Japanese, because they do like to stick to the smoother side, is 40%. It's 8% higher. It is very smooth for that percentage.
Yep.
And because of that, it's incredibly good, and the complexity that goes along with that is impressive. So as we continue to rate it, I highly suggest you do pay attention, and if you are into what we say, you should get it.
Yep. Flavor, I gave it a little bump on flavor. It's got it's not crazy deep for me in flavor, but I do appreciate the cedar that is in there. It's got a sweetness to it. It stays on the palate a while, which is actually in the aftertaste section. But actually, I'm jumping way ahead of there. We're on flavor right now, right?
True.
We're on flavor.
Yeah, so I gave it a 6.5 for flavor.
Yeah, I gave it a 6.5 as well. I think it's above average. It's got a lot of things. I love the flavor. I would love to taste.
It's got a little cinnamon in the flavor as well.
Very cinnamony in the flavor. It's got some vanilla, some of the cedar. Very spicy.
I love the cedar in it. Yeah,
it is good. The
spice is there.
Very unique and complex, but so. Tom, let me ask if you agree with this. The thing with the spice and complexity is it does not counteract with the smoothness. It's a sweet, smooth, silky feel, but after that happens, it is the strong, peppery, peaty, smoky flavor that then ends it, which is really good because it doesn't really feel like the alcohol. It's not like you're taking a shot of like some strong cast strength moonshine or anything like that, but rather an enjoyable, smooth, flavorful experience.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of the silky mouthfeel necessarily that you described.
Really?
For me, it's not. But I do agree with you in that the spices, it's not spicy in that it's a sharp whiskey necessarily.
No.
Yeah.
But the spices, as in the flavor of it, it is very
spicy
nice.
profile.
Yes, correct.
But it doesn't
I agree.
like
Right.
sometimes
Not
spice
sharp.
and like alcohol-y sharpness get construed in the
misconstrued.
in the taste there.
Right.
And because of the
but
complexity,
it is spicy with the cinnamon.
because of the complexity and
Tastes like wintertime.
because of all the flavors and everything that you will add into this profile, I personally rank this a 7.
Okay.
I give it a 6.5 on flavor.
Which Tom and Hattie gave it a 6.5, so I give it a 7, which
So
is
a bump
relatively
up for
similar.
all three of us, really.
It really is a similar, and it's one of those things where it's like, now mind you, we will tell you the price of this as we get to the end, but because of the price, it really does up the value of it, because when it comes to scotches, it becomes way more expensive when you get into this category.
Yep. Agreed.
Yes, for sure.
So balance and complexity is the next category. That one I did. Me and Hattie both bumped it down to 5.5. Not because it's bad, but just because there's not a lot of waves of flavor for me. It's got a very unique flavor in that it has the cedar, which is why I gave the flavor that extra little bump there.
I really like the cedar.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's very unique and very delicious, actually. I think more whiskey should finish in cedar casks. It's probably very expensive, would be my guess, to do it that way.
I want to see more whiskeys with the cedar cask.
It's very unique.
With this
and
one, it's
very
very unique.
good.
Yeah. But as far as depth of flavor, complexity. There's not a ton there. There's maybe 2 waves of flavor for me, and so for that reason, I gave it a 5.5.
Yeah, I gave it a 5.5 as well, and I think you're pretty accurate on the 2 waves.
Yeah.
Like, you get the very, like, cinnamon spicy wave,
and
then you
subtle
kind
hint
of, like,
of cedar.
settle down into the, like, the cedar and the more woody feelings. So I gave it a 5.5.
And James?
And
What'd you give it?
So complexity, I would give a 6.5. I mean, personally, I felt a little bit more complexity because of the flavor of the whiskey, but then again, everyone's, I would say, taste profile. Rather, I would state it as, quote it as, his taste profile is different. But because of the cedar cask, really, it almost throws a huge, flavor profile into something that we're used to.
Yeah, it's different.
It is very different. And, as for us three, Hattie, Tom, myself, we've been into whiskeys. We have Highlands, Lowlands. We've tried many, many different whiskeys. The cedar cask is a complete 8-ball thrown into our flavor profile. And because of that, it is very good. It's very unique, and I think that it's very person dependent as whether you like it. I think it's almost one of those things where it's like you either like it or you hate it.
Okay.
And because of this profile, it is very good. I ranked it as such, and Tom and Hattie did the same thing.
Yep.
And they didn't even rank it low, but it's just one of those things where it's like I honestly really suggest that, especially for the price. Which the price is, I believe it's around $60. Depends on where you buy it from. But the Kamiki
Definitely worth a shot.
maltage is what it's called. The
Yep.
Kamiki maltage is one of the only English words you can read on the box.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
I would definitely.
It's a
I would
small
recommend
square
it.
box. It is very good, and it's something that you should definitely try and then rank it for yourself. Because even as the three of us agree that it's very complex, the cedar is great, good flavor profile, and you should definitely look into it.
All right. So what's your my overall score on this one is a 60.
We gotta do the aftertaste here.
All right. Aftertaste.
I ranked it a
Aftertaste.
6.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
And what did James give it?
James gave it an 8.
Yeah. So I gave it a 6 also. It's got it stays on the palate a long time. It's just not a lot of waves coming through for me in the aftertaste. But so my overall score was a 60. Yours was also a 60.
Mine was also a 60. James was a 74.
Okay.
I will say with this whiskey, it's a better whiskey than I give it, a 60. But obviously there's categories that we rank it and everything. But it's a better whiskey than a 60. If somebody gave this to me, I would absolutely drink it.
Yeah.
Any day.
Yeah. I think
for the
nothing
price,
wrong with
it's
it
very,
at all.
very good.
It's got a unique flavor with the cedar.
With the cedar.
I don't think that it's aside from the cedar, it's not an exceptional whiskey to me. It's a good whiskey. But that cedar is something that I think that you should try just based on that alone.
Yep.
For me, anyway.
I wish more whiskeys would do
me
a
too.
cedar cask,
Big
especially
time.
like a Scotch with a cedar cask.
Yep.
I think would be really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for me it's above a 60. But when you break down each category, that's what I gave it when I was tasting it. So I think it's significantly above average.
Yep.
So let me tell to everyone that's listening that's still listening after all of the stuff that we talked about. Oh, you give me a face, Hattie, but it's true.
I got chicken wings I got to pick up, so we got
Yeah, no, it's true. I'm wrapping it up.
All right.
So the thing that we do about whiskey is that there's so many different complexities and flavors that you have to try and figure out for yourself. I highly suggest trying this or any other whiskeys that we have reviewed, even if I wasn't involved, to get an idea as to how it tastes. And then you can go from there and really just start your collection. And that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Yep, and I was actually going to mention that in this podcast is that's why we have started to break it down in each of the categories with like the flavor, the balanced complexity, the nose, the aftertaste. And it's really like taste is subjective, and you need to find what you like. and Tommy favors the more bold whiskeys, and
more rotund.
He's a
more
man.
rotund, and I'm more the smooth, and that's why if you resonate a little bit more with Tommy or a little bit more with me, then that's why we give that. Yeah. And I think it's a good balance between us where we can take our score and really find a good whiskey. Mm-hmm. And if you resonate with one of us more, then you can kind of get our flavor profiles, and you can trust our opinions. Yep. And that's why we do it the way we do. Yep. And if you have any suggestions for that, then absolutely give them to us and let us know what you like. And if there's anything you'd like us to try, do that as well. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of why we break it down into the different categories that we do.
For sure.
So you can actually find what you like versus what we like, and find a whiskey that you like.
And let us know.
Yeah.
Let us know. And everything, let us know. Twitter, @GrowMansPod.
It's true.
Get it done. Go over there, follow us. Let us know.
Do it.
How, things you like about the show, things you don't like about the show, things you want us to try, things you don't want us to try.
Mm-hmm. Except when it comes to me, I am amazing. And other than that, if you have a whiskey suggestion, give it to me. I will take it. Thank you.
We will buy the whiskey and try it
for sure.
If you give us the suggestion.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. If you are still listening, what are we, 4 hours into this episode, Hattie?
Only 129.
That's a long episode for this time of year. We are sorry if you're still listening. Anyway, we love you. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening, and make sure that you tune in next week for the show where we'll have a cool NFL scout tuning in.
Oh, yeah. Make sure you turn in for that.
All right, guys. Check you later.